Welcome to PLZ Soccer's One-to-One. I'm Peter Martin and I'm delighted to say our special guest is none other than Gordon Strachan. Gordon, thanks for coming on our One-to-One. It's a kind of a trip down memory lane for your career. But I've got to ask you first and foremost, of all the things that you've achieved in your life, I get the sense that the greatest thing is the family, the wife, because they are there, the support structure that I look back at your career, they're always there for you.
Yeah, but it's part of a parcel, that thing. We couldn't have enjoyed ourselves that much as a family if football wasn't there. Now, whether that's ups or downs, but mostly it's been ups, but the downs. But I don't think you could just have the one. If we had the same family and we just have a kind of mundane life, then it's not going to be as exciting. The fun's not as great. I think both things have merged together, my family life plus the wonderful life that's football. You know that, and I get worried sometimes that football seems to be people like to batter football for whatever social wrongs. It seems to be that football's actually the source of these, but it's not. Football, in fact, is the greatest business in the world, without doubt. I've met, as we'll probably talk tonight, we'll end up just talking about people. And that's why I'm still involved in football. It's not because of the actual goal scoring or something like that. It's the people within it. And even me and you sitting here, we've known each other for a few years, that is the greatest thing about my life. The fact is my family, myself, I've been able to meet and enjoy so many wonderful people in football.
But picking up on that point, I remember you saying, you know, in one feisty debate with a few pundits about, you know, we shouldn't look to footballers for the moral compass, for the way to behave.
Yeah.
But I sense from the early days of your career that foundation of your family and the way you were brought up, did that give you the strength of character to come through bad times and good times to eventually succeed?
Yeah, wherever I go in football just now, whether it be talking to the Man City coaches, Tottenham coaches, Belarus, America, Dundee, Celtic, everybody wants to know about resilience and character. How can we produce players with these traits, because they're needed. The technique, obviously you need technique. Obviously you need technique and fitness. But being at Celtic Park, for instance, big places, your character is tested. Also, it's tested all the way to get there. So you have to have hurdles in front of you. And I think going back 50 years, hurdles or 60 years, hurdles were thrown in front of you. And we're now discussing how do we manufacture hurdles for young kids, because really the hurdles are not there anymore as youngsters. Because when you go to school now, nobody's allowed to upset you or tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, when they come to football, we have to tell them the truth. And the first time in their life, somebody says no to them, and they kind of have a breakdown. They start looking up the dictionary. What does no mean? It means that you're lazy and you're not working hard enough. You have to do it, right? So I got that. But as I said, when you go back to the traits you need, the character to keep going, Mum and Dad, I always knew what was right and what was wrong. Many a time I was wrong, but I knew I was wrong because I was taught the difference, you know. Because a number of times I've had to apologise and write letters to journalists, presenters, assistant managers of the other team. Sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. Because I always know when it's right or wrong. But I think I got a good upbringing that way. And I think the hurdles that were put in my way when I was young, it helped me as well to enjoy where I am. And we were talking earlier that I've still got good friends that I had at school and when the early days at Dundee. So I've still got that, but as I say to you, I think all the hurdles that were put in my way when I was a kid, you don't know at the time, but it prepares you in life. You know, there's no point meeting character building moments when you've no character. So, for instance, I was talking about we were talking about early morning training somewhere, and the coaches were looking about, and I said, well, if early morning training, you can get tired and at school at 3 o'clock. How do you know that? I said, well, I used to get up at 5:30 in the morning and deliver milk.
Yeah.
6 days a week for £1. So I know what it was like to have that £1 become, you know, that prisoner. Wonderful, that's all mine. And as I said, but I had to get up at 8:30. And then they were talking about, oh, well, your kids need rest. Really? And this is where they think you're old-fashioned, but you actually know what a kid can do. I used to deliver milk on a Saturday morning, but it was 2 rounds on a Saturday morning. So you had to take double what you took on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So up you go and you're running around. I used to time myself. That's the other. I used to time myself because I had routes to go, and I would always want to beat the time running with 6 or 12 bottles, you know, wee crates out or something. Right, and away we go. And then I used to do that on the Saturday morning. Finish about 8:15. Play for Craig Royston School about 10:30. Go and have a pie at my mother's house, no water, no proteins and all the rest of it, a pie and beans. And then I go and play for my Edinburgh Thistle youth team on the Saturday afternoon. So that was milk, game. So I know what a young man can do, you know.
Here's a question then. One of the many times that I've listened to you and read articles from your book, you talk about the fact that, am I right in thinking you were a good trainer? Because you talk about the need to be physically fit for when the times that you know that you can actually gain an advantage over someone who goes tired. But can you quantify the fitness to the ability? Because I always think of Gordon Strachan, and I hope I'm not doing you a disservice, I think technical ability.
Yeah, but my technical ability would go, I still have it.
Yeah.
My technical ability. But only lasts for 2 minutes now, as you've seen a few years ago. I still have the ability to control the ball and pass it, but if you actually put me under a bit of pressure and made me run, it'd go all over the place. And I think the reason I always trained hard, even from that time I was telling you about when I was in the milk runs and training. I used to time myself from school and back again, and everything to achieve this fitness. I didn't realise how important it'd be until I was about 40. I didn't realise that all that work there allowed me to continue, and also the fact I did all that work, then hard work didn't become hard work to me. Yeah. It was hard work at the time with Alec Ferguson, but you collapse, you'd throw up, you'd go again, and keep running. So, but the reason you keep players fit these days, in particular, it's not for the fact that you can run everywhere. You know, and anybody who's played football only make mistakes really when you're tired. Yeah. And what happens when you're tired is, physically get tired, but your brain gets tired. And that's when you make bad decisions. That's why there's penalties at the end of the first half, or near the end of the game, or free kicks going, because defenders are tired. They leap into tackles and think, I've got it, bang. Tired at the end of the game when you've got a chance and you blaze it over the bar. Physically you're tired, but then it sends us tired signals. So you make yourself as fit as possible so you can use what talent you've got longer, and also keep them in a zone, and you've got this concentration that will last. We only get tired, no matter what we're doing in life, we make mistakes when we're tired. Yeah. And going back to that thing I said, there's nothing better. It's like watching Liverpool just now, but maybe 2 years ago they're even better. And Leeds last year, there was teams lining up against them thinking, I don't want to be here, because this lot are super fit. Yeah. It's the same as an individual. If somebody's playing in your area, and it used to be maybe left back, left midfield when I played, and I looked at them and I knew they were super fit and better than me, I'd go, oh no. So there's a negative right away. But also the plus side is I look at them, I can see them thinking, I wish he wasn't here today, because he's got to run about everywhere. Yeah. And you've got that positive is with you right away. And
I always tried to pick a fight. Because when I realised that they could run, I thought, how can I destabilise this person?
You put them off, yeah. I used to try that with good players. I thought, I need to get in their mind here. And I used to say things like, stupid things like, have you said to left back, have we noticed that we are aiming the ball at you? Did you realise that we think you're the weak link? That was my kind of that sports psychology. Yeah, you know, but like this.
They all credit you with, you know, obviously it was great to play, you know, top flight football at 40 years of age. Mm-hmm. Were you really aware in the early days about, you know, the need for a diet, the need to put the right things in your body? Or did that come at a certain point?
Oh no, I was putting all the wrong things in my body. Seriously. I trained incredibly, and I was just saying to you that we used to have digs and Broughty Ferry, 4 years. Unfortunately, I'm still very close to the other two, George Mackey and Alec Colwell. Unfortunately, Keith Wiley, he passed away. The Forest one digs. On Thursday, we used to get our wages about 3:30 in Reform Street in Dundee, pick it up a wee package. You know, it was about 13 quid or something like that. And by 5 o'clock, we'd have our tea and out to the local pub on a Thursday. And I was only 16, 17, which shouldn't have been allowed, really, 16, 17. So I did all the thought. The reason I used to get served is because I had this face when I was 16. I looked like some sort of hobbit. And nobody actually says, by the way, you're too young. They just thought there was something wrong with me. And I got the pints in and the boys would have a drink. Then you wonder on a Saturday why you're knackered.
Yeah.
I met Bobby Watson at an Airdrie game recently. And I remember him tackling me at Motherwell and it was about 15 minutes to go. And he got up and ran away. And I was shattered.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he wasn't in the accidentally brought to Ferry on a Thursday night.
But Jim McLean thought you had a wee bit of a drink problem. I don't think you had a bad problem, did you?
It was only Thursday night, maybe, and a Saturday, that Jim had this thing about me being an alcoholic. The reason being, I went to a concert on, I say a Thursday night maybe, and I had 2 beers while I was watching, you know to believe it, Tony Christie. Me and Leslie went to see Tony Christie. And he gave me a lift back, him and his missus, to wherever was going. And for that day on, because I had 2 pints of beer, being Jim, alcoholic, and so he had me doing as a bad professional. But actually, I lived a really, but throughout this, all the mistakes I made with it. And by the way, the reason I did it, because everybody else did it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to you.
Everybody else did it. It wasn't like I did this myself. Everybody in the club did it.
Yeah.
So just what I did is you do, and that's why you need good pros about your club, so everybody follows that example. Well, we didn't have good pros, so I followed that.
But I can remember Terry Venables being interviewed one day and he said Chelsea signed Jimmy Greaves and the two of them went out on the Saturday afternoon before the game and had steak and chips. I thought, and he says Jimmy went out and scored on his debut. And I thought to myself, well,
to be fair, when Dundee days, when you were having a pre-match meal, there'd be about 60. There was only maybe 2 subs in the days, or 1. And we were 16 in the squad. And you knew you weren't playing when you were having the steak, because you had steak.
Yeah.
But Harry Davis, who was the assistant, used to come in and go, you can have chips, which meant you're not playing. You can have chips for that. All right.
Right, okay. Did you enjoy Dundee?
Loved it.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, you really, I wouldn't subscribe it to anybody how to grow up in football and behave that way.
Yeah.
But again, that's 50 years ago, it's such. And we've all learnt since then, hopefully. And but I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious.
Good players.
Well, it was a good team when I got there, not so good when I left.
Right.
They were very good. They had some great players like Jokey Scott, Gordon Wallace, John Duncan, Dougie Houston.
Gordon Wallace, a great man.
Oh, wonderful footballer. Great brain. Again, they were picking up good habits. I picked up habits for him and Jokey Scott by watching them playing.
Yeah.
Bit similar to what Foden does, how he's become David Silva, De Bruyne and all that. He's just picked up their good habits, and I picked up their good habits. Unfortunately, I picked up the Alec Colwell habit of going out for a drink on a Thursday night and all that for a bit.
I know that you said towards the end of the Dundee it wasn't going great, and they obviously they sold you, and I think it kept the club going.
So I heard, eventually.
Aberdeen, I was amazed that you felt there was a great sense of disappointment, and when Billy signed you, you didn't quite do what you thought you should have for him.
I was hopeless.
Yeah,
I really was hopeless. We just got married. That was going back in 1977, and
Billy McNeill was putting a good side together then, wasn't he?
By the way, when you think about his signings, there was Steve Archibald was in there, and Ian Scanlon.
I loved him.
Oh, I'm telling you, what's a player? So he signed 3 players. I hope you don't mind me stick myself in that group that actually did so well for Aberdeen. You know, I think everybody thinks that Alec Ferguson signed us 3. It was Billy McNeill, you know, and I was useless for him. And also I know now, when some players are having a problem when they first go to a club, I've got it because I was there when I was there, and I felt I let Billy down so badly that it affected me. And every time I seen him, I just couldn't play.
Yeah.
I tried my best, I worked hard, but it was horrendous for me, you know. And because everybody said, oh, what a great time it was. I went, really? For the first year, everybody was right go at me.
Yeah.
You know when the name comes out, number 5, Gardner, hey, number 6, Muller, number 7, Strachan. Oh, Jesus. You know, go, oh, and you can hear it when the boys are arriving to you during the game.
Well, to be fair, I'm glad you've got a good memory. There's not too many times people would go, oh, Strachan.
That's right. It'd go, and I'd go, ooh. And then as the boys arriving to you during the game, you could hear this kind of, oh, what's he got to do now? You know, the disappointment as the boys come to me, you know.
So how did it change for you? Because I know there's a kind of a, listen, I could sum it up in highs, lows, love. I hate to use the word hatred, but you know, there's a kind of a fallout. But what did Fergie do to suddenly get the Gordon Strachan that we all know?
I really don't know. I can't put my finger on it. It just started to happen. We tried me in central midfield for a bit. That didn't work. Then we it kind of evolved, and it's probably Stuart Kennedy playing beside me at right back. Normally for was kind of a right winger as such, but discovered playing 25 yards inside the pitch, and I thought it was less pressure being in there, because when you're out wide, it's basically people shout, "Take him on," and I was reasonable pace, but all that Willie Johnston pace or something like that. But I felt when I went in there, I could see more things in there. Plus I had this guy who was raging pace going down the outside and Stuart Kennedy. So when you talk about, you look at things in your life, you go, thank goodness he was there at the time. There's a lot to do with yourself and getting up and dusting yourself down for all the rest of it and getting on with it. But there was a period in my life which either goes this way or that way. Yeah.
Did you sense, I always talk about the siege mentality that Fergie seemed to instill in you a lot.
I bought it.
Well, I was going to say to you, because I can remember interviewing Willie Miller for the 40th anniversary of the PFA, and I said to him, you know, what about the siege mentality? And Willie looked at me and I thought, well, here it comes. And he goes, he says, yeah, he says, well, you journalists in the west of Scotland, he says, we always wanted to stick it to you because we're all pro-Celtic and Rangers. And I said to Willie, well, to be honest with you, I was in 4th year at school, Willie, it wasn't me, you know, but I could tell that it lived long after Fergie had gone. Yeah. I mean, it must have been psychologically, did that help make you better players, or were you all just coming in at the right time together?
I think it's sports psychology of all. I think within all the players up there was a bit of a character in most of the players, like Stuart Kennedy, McCoist, Willie Miller, all these guys do get rugby. I might miss one or two, I'm sorry, Matt McGee. But somehow he managed to get the best and worst out of you at the same time. And sometimes you're like, oh, I don't like who I am today, but we've won, I don't care.
Yeah.
But we could always relate back off the pitch to who we really were. Decent lads and good fun and bit of laugh. But when we went to the football pitch, there was this sort of determination about us. And, you know, we talk about sports psychologists, he was the best in the world.
Yeah.
And his big thing was, you never, ever let your family, your teammates down. That was it. That was the thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's coming after the game, you know, here he goes. Right up to you and their hair's flying back. Is your wife and kids here? Yeah. They'll be away early. They'll be embarrassed with you. They'll be embarrassed that you're their dad. I'm like, oh, aye, okay. You're like that, crestfallen. But the good thing about it was, a day later, you're laughing about it.
Yeah.
And I seen him recently, and he went, and I was telling him some of the things he said to me, and he went, oh, I never did that. Oh. I went, you did? No. I said, tell me you did. He went, oh, because there's one or two things he's embarrassed about now in life, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, forget it. Just because we get a laugh now.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. As a matter of fact, we got a laugh 2 days after it.
Yeah.
So didn't even worry about it.
And to be fair, by the way, I mean, now I'm not sure the word is mellow, but I was sitting next to him about 2 months ago, and he likes a laugh and a noise up. So he must have been, I mean, you guys, he must have sat in that room with Archie and thought, I've just bollocked him. He must have laughed at it.
Yeah, but if you listen to Archie now, the stories he tells, because there's one side to the story, and we think it's funny, but Archie tells the other side to what Fergie was thinking at the same time it was going on, and it gets even funnier. You know, it really is getting funnier. So,
is there one that sticks in your mind?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, there's so many about we used to say to people. There's so many, which keeps me going in after dinner speaking, as you know. But there's so many about
My
them.
favourite is the one where you scored the penalty. I mean, they're playing.
Oh, listen, we could go on there for half an hour.
4-4-2, 4-3-3, you know.
That's right. Yeah, that goes on forever. That story. I'll give another one. Like, it was like the discipline. And I might have told you about this one now, where we're on the team bus, went to go from Aberdeen to play. I think it was Rangers or something like that. So it was a Friday. We all get there, and being us, McCoist and McGee are sitting there about 15 minutes before the bus leaves. So in the days you had nothing on the bus, and you've got to travel 4 hours, nothing. You had to pick up the chairs and put them together, put a card table, no drinks, no nothing, no food, no telly, right, off we. So they went, we'll just nip round and get some sweeties. Right, can you imagine that these days, we're top class. We'll nip round and get some sweeties in the wee place just up by the cemetery at Pataudry. So right, okay. So about 25 past, 5 minutes before we're meant to leave, about 2:30, he comes out. Right, start the bus, George. He was in a bad mood. And George the driver, and Archie's sitting there, and George went, and Archie went, at McGee and McLeish, they're not here. What do you leave them? So I went about it, was he good? You can't leave them. Look, and George, drive. So George is now kind of, George drive. So George drives. So in the days when you're travelling from, there wasn't that main road you had now. You had to go through Stonehaven, Longskirk and all this, and you could never overtake anything. There was something in the way. There was never. So they two have come back. Hey boss, right, get the car. We'll beat them down. So that's right. But we can see them as we get to Stonehaven. They're now behind us, and we're looking at the back, and we're going, it's a nutter, isn't he? See, they're driving like that. So off they go, and they can't make Longskirk, but they make Longskirk. So Longskirk, they go past us between Stonehaven and Longskirk, get out on their bags because they're staying down for the weekend. The two of them, they're staying with their families, still young boys, 20, 23. So get off with their bags, and they stand at the main street in Longskirk. The bus comes along, and they're standing there with their bags, and we're going, we'll get on the bus now. I wonder what he's got to say to them. Keep driving, George. He's thrown by them. You can see the two of them standing there with their bags going, right back in the car. So you can see them, they're overtaking us again and actually make it at Forfar. And they get us, but this time he stops. He doesn't say anything, you get on the bus. So he's not said anything, we play the game. It was a disastrous result, we got a draw or something like that at Rangers. So he's not speaking to anybody coming back in the bus.
It's a disastrous result.
So because the boys all went, right, we'll just stay down. Back on the bus. He said we could stay back on the bus, right? So back on the bus, we're rolling about the back of the bus. So these two are now coming back home with their gear again, right? They put the back, they're raging, aren't they? Oh, McGee's got the big Sam the Eagle face on. That big face. Big Alex going, what's going on here? So off we go, nothing said. Get to Forfar where the car is, right? And so they think, right, I'll get to Forfar, drive back, that'll be all right. So there used to be a bend at Forfar, the car was parked over there. And the two of them are sneaking down to the front of the bus. Now you get to the front of the bus and you're bending down a bit to see what everything's going on. So like that, there's the cars there. And George is just slowing down. Keep driving, George. Back to Aberdeen. The two of them, he took them all back to Aberdeen. Then they had to get another car, go back to Forfar and get that car. And that's the kind of discipline you had. And you think now, really? But then again, when you think about every time we meet now, that comes up now and then, and you're rolling about laughing at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rolling about laughing at it. It's never really harmed us in any way.
When I think of that Aberdeen side, I look at the players that were in it. You know, obviously yourself. I loved McGee. I thought McGee was a great player. I thought he could hold the ball in. He was just brilliant.
Never missed a game, you know.
Never missed a game? No?
Never missed a game. And I think Alex said at one point he was the most important player in the team.
Yeah.
He could stand up there, bring it in, fight with people, run, do everything.
Did you have a favourite that you looked at and you thought, I mean, everybody thinks, I love playing with Gordon Strachan. Who did Gordon Strachan like playing with in that Aberdeen side?
If you couldn't, I think if you're picking a team to save your life, you pick Wally.
Yeah.
Right away. I don't know if I was picking a team to save my life, but 3 or 4 of them in there. Matter of fact, you could pick the lot of them because they were all reliable, but Wally was up that level in terms of what he was doing for Aberdeen and all the rest of it. and he was. I mean, you got to remember that when we won that European trophy, that he was the oldest player on the team at 27.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
What age were you?
25.
Wow.
So, you liked playing with Mark because it was funny.
Yeah.
You know, no matter what was going on in the pitch, it was funny.
Yeah, I liked him. I thought he was a great noise up as well, you know. He was just... But see, that game, is that your ultimate game? Is Gothenburg the one that just stands out?
For Aberdeen?
Yeah.
Suppose it would be in Aberdeen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember much of it right enough, because there were years I never watched it. And for some reason, about 12, was about Alex was the manager of Aston Villa. He was going through a bad time, so it was New Year's Day. Me and Leslie weren't speaking for some reason or another, so I thought, I'll watch this game. I've never watched it before in my life, so
right?
I'll watch it. So I watched it. And I've had a shot, and if you had said to me I had a shot and the goalie saved it, I wouldn't have, no chance, I wouldn't have remembered that. But I look back and I think, because I actually thought we were just a well-run football side who were really fit, really methodical. Then I watched, I thought, no, we're better than that.
I thought so.
They were better than that. And there was days where the surface wasn't great, the tackle was ferocious, but we actually played some decent stuff.
Yeah, well, Black was there, McGee.
Peter Weir,
Oh,
Dougie Bell.
Yeah.
It's Simpson and Cooper. They were, I mean, powerful boys.
Yeah. Was Neil? Was he? It's so sad that he's not with you when you consider.
Well, to be fair, it's unfair that the nicest and funniest has left us first.
I was going to say that. Yeah. Was he like that when he was younger?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was a gem. An absolute gem. A funny fella. Used to impersonate Fergie. Used to do all sorts of impersonations, and he was hilarious. He was just a wonderful kid. And my son played with him at Hartlepool. He was a Hartlepool manager. He says every day was hilarious. He says it was fun.
Yeah.
Really fun. And
good player, but a lot of people think he was, he was hard as nails.
Oh, yeah, I think he got booked for 3 seconds for kicking Charlie Nicholas. 3 seconds.
That was down to Fergie as well, though, wasn't it?
He'd wound him up to such high dough. And so he crashes into Charlie. All hell breaks loose. I'm thinking to myself, that's unfortunate because I'm going to get it for Big Roy and Murdo and all that now. They're going to get me now. So, no, he was a fantastic, fantastic fella.
Yeah. You winning that Cup Winners' Cup, it was obviously a highlight that, Don's fans still talk about, love, and will never forget, and rightly so. I think a lot of people look and think, oh, Cup Winners' Cup, Real Madrid, but Real Madrid are a right good side. Mm-hmm. Stilica was in that side, was he not?
Stilica, there were some good players in that
Juanito.
team. Comancio at the back. I was in a drug test with him, and his face was all around the back of his head. And he kept complaining about Mark McGee. That's when I know it's bad. It's a bad boy. And that was he was meant to be one of the hardest men in Spanish football at the time.
Yeah. So
Johnny Metehod played as well.
Yeah, he was a belter of a player as well.
So there were good players for all around the world. So we were just lads from Scotland, everybody from Scotland.
Yeah.
Basically under 27 team.
What does it mean to you?
It means to me it makes people happy that they can get together and enjoy it. And Aberdeen fan, anybody who helped us in that period, then you probably won with them. If you were supporting and helping, that you won. Obviously the kids who go along now, it's very hard to relate to Aberdeen supporters, and unless you got that special bond with the ones that you had at that time.
Yeah.
So whatever happens, the good thing about football, wherever you go in the world, there's always somebody who knows you for, hey, do you remember that? Ah, yeah, good. Now whether it be an Aberdeen fan, Celtic fan, Man United fan, Leeds fan, they get together and go, hey, do you remember that? Not so much the Middlesbrough fans, they don't really kind of
let it go, that's a separate section.
That's a sports psychology section.
When you left Aberdeen, I mean, I bet you thought, that's me, I'm away from Fergie.
Yeah, well, to be fair, that was part of it wasn't part of it. I was speaking to somebody today about football. I said, I used to, if you look at my career, it was like 5, 6, 7 years at each club, whether it be a manager or that. And I just felt like I always wanted to move on.
Yeah.
Why? I just wanted to meet new people, do new things, and experience new things. And also, Sir Alex and myself were at hammer and tongs. which got accentuated when he knew I wanted to leave.
Yeah.
I think that was a kind of fear thing for him, because it was like his team breaking up, which was worrying him. But it shouldn't have worried him, because they replaced and they got new players in. From Marcel went, and they continued winning the league. So the last maybe year was fractious, to say the least. But we got on with it. I ended up scoring a lot of goals. We won the league and the cup that year, and got knocked out in the semi-final of the European Cup Winners Cup again.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad last season, but it was a bit fractious.
Did you like Big Ron?
It was different. I mean, completely different from Alex. Absolutely no discipline whatsoever. None whatsoever. But it was refreshing for me.
Yeah.
So from discipline, the whole lot, planning, the whole lot, Big Ron would just go, right, okay. And I'd be waiting for the team meetings, and he had a briefcase. The first game was at home to Watford. And I thought, it's Friday, he's not mentioned Watford yet. And he's not mentioned the team. So at the table in the Midlands Hotel in Manchester, that's a given. So, all right, he went, that's the team, bump, bump, and that's the way you should do it, bump, there. We'll get the ball wide to the wee guys, Strachan and Wilkinson, and I want some bombing raids. Norman, you get in there, Brian, da-da-da-da. And I thought, right, he's got to speak about Watford now. Not a thing. So he's opened up his thing. I said, that must be it. It must be the tactic talks in there, and opened it up. And I was sitting next to him. All it had was hairsprays and perfumes in it. It had nothing to do with football. I went, let's go, lads, let's go. And away we went, and that was our team talk. He just believed in footballers playing.
Yeah.
But he was clever, by the way. He knew the game. But footballers playing. And you could do what you want during the week. Literally do anything you wanted, as long as you turned up on a Saturday and played football.
Well, it goes back to what I was going to say to you about the fact that you were a good trainer. You obviously, you weren't a major bevier, but with all due respect,
no, and I was in probably the third division drinkers.
Yeah.
There was if you know the M56, if you go there, it's near the airport coming out of Manchester, and if you turned right and went with Brian and Norman and Paul McGrath and that, you're literally, if you turned right, you wouldn't be seeing your family till Tuesday, the Saturday game. So we turned left, so it was all right. So we just had a couple of beers on the Saturday. But if you went that way, right, gone.
But by the way, 3 great players.
Magnificent players.
Yeah.
Magnificent. And that was when, see, Paul McGrath in Brazil, he turned right, and his career finished then.
Yeah.
And that's why he's doing radio now. Because he went turned right to try to keep up with these guys.
Yeah.
No chance.
What age was...
By the way, I've got to say, fantastic people.
Yeah.
They were fantastic people.
But did Robson not defy for you, apart from the injuries which maybe caught up with him, did he not defy the whole aspect of it? Because if he had a right session, he could still go up and train and still played like a warrior.
He was still still be like that, but it caught up on him, Brian. If you look at his career over 30, he played very little games because the alcohol and the bodies of some of these guys was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It really was. When I say drinking, I mean disappearing for 36 hours.
Yeah.
And the stories behind all that kind of stuff. I mean, again, I could be here all night talking about them, but deep down, they were magnificent people. Wonderful players. I mean, wonderful players.
How much does it mean to you as an individual, though, to be able to see...
And he's another one I'd pick. Miller
in the trenches.
and Robson.
Yeah.
They'd be my first 2 picks.
Right. How much does it mean to you to win an FA Cup there? Many people would never get the chance.
Well, you got to remember that we were kind of blasé about it. Because you got to remember that 82, 83, 84, we won at Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Right? And then I go down to 85 and won at Man United. I used to think this happens every, and it really shouldn't. What was going on there was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But I didn't take it in as if what was happening round about me was because of these great players. I was allowed to play in 4 cup finals in a trot and win them all.
Yeah.
But I just took it as granted. That's what you happened at the end of the season. You got a brand new suit and you play in the cup final.
And here's your medal.
Unless it's the 83 cup final where we got lambasted for not being very good in the final, where Sir Alex killed us for only winning 1-0 against Rangers, where Alex and Willie won the cup themselves.
Yes.
So every time you see Big Alex, he keeps going, you got that medal I won you. It's a matter of, as it, Sir Alex, when I was with him a couple of years ago, he was talking about that, and he went, I know. And he went, did you pick up that medal? I went, aye. Disgrace.
I think the one thing about it though is you mentioned the psychological aspect of Sir Alex, and then suddenly he comes to United. What was going through your head?
Well, in '86 World Cup, we were best buddies again. You know, he matter of fact, after the '85 Cup final, he was my guest after the game.
Yeah.
So he come and sat beside us. As a matter of fact, Gary Bailey thought it was my dad.
Yeah.
Which went down a real. No. So yeah, fine. We phoned and talked, and maybe it was the fact he was phoning me to find out what was going on at the club. My naive me at the time was, yeah, well, he likes us, right? He's at home, right? Okay, fine. And there's '86 World Cup, and he was in the room next to me in this place called Querétaro. We stayed in this hotel. It was horrendous. It was the worst hotel I've ever been in my life. And he was next door to me, and he's got this nervous cough, as you know. So he was picking the team, so he's a nervous cough. And I was next door. I couldn't sleep at night because of this nervous cough. Oh, shut up, you know. And he wouldn't sleep. And he got up one morning early. I got up early. I was sitting at the breakfast table talking about things. I went, I said, really, you got to, when you're leaving, is you a chance to leave? Aye, well, I'll maybe go there. But the only two clubs I would leave for is Barcelona, Man United. And I went, hope to Christ it's Barcelona. But he come down there, and the problem was that we'd worked with each other too long. And I generally think at first we thought, oh, we'll get together again. But it didn't work for me. And I blame myself, no him. I should have been stronger. Matter of fact, I did all right in the first come, but after a wee while, it's that. And I don't blame him. And I said that, I don't blame you. I blame myself for giving in to you.
Yeah.
You know, and no being what I was.
Is it because you'd heard the record before?
Probably, yeah. And I just felt that, and I've done it myself as a manager. I just felt I was an easy target because he seemed to feel comfortable with me because he's done it with me. He couldn't do it with Brian and Norman and Paul. They were too big for him at the time.
Yeah.
They were too big, too strong. And if you look at the actual Man United, when they moved on, or less simple, that's when the team took off.
Because he could control the rest of them.
He could control the rest. They were his. He couldn't control them. They were huge, these guys. I mean, huge. And that was his dilemma. How do you get rid of them without upsetting the fans and things like that? I think he got to the stage where, yeah, I need to do this. And he did it. He decided they've got to go. And fortunately, I was the first one that went. But I was a prototype for Stam, Beckham, Keane. So, fine. And that's what a lot of people couldn't do what he did, but he did it.
You go to a club that's got a great history, but it's certainly in the doldrums. Is that fair in Leeds United?
Leeds?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't even know there was a rivalry because I never played against them before. Yeah. So when it was kind of unheard of. I think Johnny Giles was kind of the last one it went, or maybe one of the Greenhoff brothers did it as well.
Yeah.
It was kind of unheard of. But I didn't know any different. And they were, as I say, they were about 6 bottom of the championship, you call it, League 2 then. And it was the only club I've ever went to. When I sign with clubs for different things, it's usually, well, there you go, sign, see what happens. Aye, okay. But Leeds was, you're signing, but this needs to happen. We need to get promoted in 2 years, or we're struggling as a club.
Yeah.
So, and what I probably looking for at Man United the last couple of years is being an influence again. And putting a bit of pressure on, demanding from me in a way that you've got responsibility again. And when I got that responsibility again, I flew.
Yeah. Did you have a good team in that second division?
No, really, no. There was people there who were, I don't know if you've seen it before, with great clubs, and people go along there and play off the reputation of that club.
Yeah.
And try to behave like the Leeds United team in the 70s. It might have been aggressive, but he weren't very good. And then we didn't have the professionalism and all the rest of it. So, no, there was, but there was some good people there.
Yeah.
Some right good people who were in the background, who were getting knocked down by some of the players who are up here and no letting them breathe.
What age were you at Leeds?
Simon was 32.
Right.
Yeah. So there was people like Peter Haddock was there, boy Mick Whitlow was delicate, and they were getting knocked down and not allowed to breathe. The youngsters weren't allowed to breathe either to a certain extent, apart from David Batty. But Bats was a complete different from anybody else I've met. So it didn't bother him.
Yeah. He scored a belter to get them out of that division though. Left foot.
Against Leicester, aye. Yeah, that's the. I think if you said all your days running in the milk, running to school, running to Dundee up and down the terraces, running to Aberdeen on the beach, all the rest of it, and all the hard work and every knockback you've ever got was worth it for that day, that moment.
Yeah.
It was like, that's what everything I've done is worked to this one moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and when you got to the Premier League at that age, did you think? Some people think, oh, I'm going to have to be a journeyman and go somewhere else. Did you feel right? This is the swan song?
But I think looking back, I've never thought it was a good question, by the way, because nobody's actually asked that one to me before in all these years. And when I look back now, I think I was a wee bit nervous about it, thinking, can I still? Because I was failing when I last in the top league. Can I go back there and do it again? But even better. I knew still had my fitness because I always kept my times and what I could do, which is, I think it's imperative for young players. But did I have that drive? Did I have that? Did I have the technical ability to keep going? And because of the players that was played with, Gary McAllister come in, wonderful. Tony Dorigo come in, Rod Wallace, these players with more technical ability. And the fact that is everybody in the team thought I was an influence on them. And when you see that in that look in your eyes, that keeps you going.
What was it about Howard Wilkinson that was different from others? Because he struck me as this very monotone type, whereas you've had Mr. Flash and Mr. Angry.
Yeah, I had great manager Billy McNeill as well, and all these kind of things. So he was completely different, totally pragmatic about the game. And it all was, how do you train to win every game? It wasn't we train to have fun and get on. We train to win. Everything is to win.
Yeah.
I mean, set plays were an hour and a half, in pouring rain and things like that. And we'd do it. If we didn't have anybody, say, fitness test for somebody on a Saturday morning, we would have to come in 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning, wait for the fitness test, and then go and practice with set plays in the pouring rain, and then go back into the stadium, get changed again and ready for the game. It was mind on it, crosses, this, that. It didn't look great at times. I kind of fell out with him a bit. Well, I done a real moaning, groan one at half time when we were in the other division about the way we were playing. We'll never score goals like this.
Is this when Mick Hennigan jumped in?
Yeah. And it was great because it gave me and he went, oh, no matter of fact, he said, it's all finished. And just after, he said, can I word with you? I went, yeah. I said, do you know how much he had to do to get you at this club? Finances, trust, everything. He had to convince everybody that you were going to be the one. And you stand up there and ridicule these tactics. And I went, oh, wow. Great lesson.
Yeah. Did that stay with you through your life?
Absolutely. Yeah. And what a great man Mick was. He wasn't the best coach, but he knew people and understood, again, what's right and what's wrong.
Did you sense you were going to win the league?
No.
No? Was there a point where you thought, we're on?
Well, the season previous, we were fourth in the league, I thought, that's magnificent. Maybe it's about time for me to retire again. But we kept playing. We kept at it, and we kept behind Man United, the coattails. And Eric Cantona. He joined, which gave us a kind of a lift. Didn't play many games, he was sub, and he played games, but he scored big goals at the right time. So that helped us. Then you realise, about 4 games to go, we're neck and neck here with Man United. What happened here?
Yeah.
And they got beat at West Ham one night. Remember in the car driving back with Leslie, I went, Jesus, they've got to get beat.
Yeah. Was it more about your mental strength and belief, or more about the pressure that they were?
I think it was bit more to do with them, I think.
Yeah, 25 years, everybody's talking about them.
It must have been so hard for them. But again, the footballing gods, they hurt you first before you win things. So they get hurt with that, and then they come back and win another 9 in the trot or something like that.
Is that you remembering Liverpool?
yeah. So that's right. You do. The footballing gods hurt you before you actually you succeed.
Yeah.
And then you've got to be able to deal with that. So it only sprung on us in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We can win this. You go, wow. And it wasn't a pretty football, because in these days the pitches were horrible, bumpy, yucky. I was in agony with a problem I had in my leg. I'd never trained. I used to just turn up for the game. I was a bit like El Cid, really. You know, when they strap him on the horse. I'm not really here, but keep going, lads.
Did you? You win that medal. You don't. I don't know if I might get this wrong. Do you go back
more
to
than
Leeds?
liable to get this wrong.
Do you go back to Leeds because you like to go back and just savour a wee bit of the adulation? Are you that type of person?
I'd be lucky I've been back there to see a game maybe 5 times in 10 years.
Is that right?
And probably
You must be treated like a god there.
Well, I went back recently. It was phenomenal. But I think 3 of the times, I think the last time I was just there because, but the other times before, I think it was something to do with maybe Scotland, watching players at Leeds or something like that, maybe Liam Cooper and people. There's a boy called Mott who actually could have maybe played for Scotland, who's Mott's at West Brom now. So I used to go back there. It was good to go back and you see Eddie Gray and things like that. But no, I'm all right. I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm good. It's in the head, the memories. It's great fun.
Well, exactly. You can never take
But
them away.
when you go back for maybe some dinners or something like that, which I occasionally go to, it's terrific. Absolutely terrific.
I could probably talk to you for hours. I've only got 2 other topics that I want to talk to you about. One, of course, is playing for Scotland, managing Scotland. Playing for Scotland, I always think to myself, you know, I thought Scotland qualified. I thought Scotland qualified for World Cups all the time when I was a boy. I remember watching you guys play.
It was far easier then.
Why?
Because the quality of teams now are different. If you look at Belgium when we played them, or France, because of diversity now, it's far harder. There's more than the groups. The teams who you think were lesser teams are so much more organised now. I mean, Scotland used to, when they qualified for, I think it was a 74, it was Czechoslovakia and Denmark, and people beating Denmark 6-0 at the time.
Yeah.
Right? They're a magnificent team now. So it was just a playoff against Czechoslovakia.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Now there's so many, there's 12 games, and so many things can go wrong just in like a league here. So you can trip up with a lesser side.
Yeah. Am I being nostalgic though, that thinking that there was a period, a long period, you know, where I looked at the players that I used to go and support Scotland, the likes of yourself, Douglas as soon as they were technically really good. We technically better players. We had a John Robertson, 2-time European Cup winner, who was one of my favourite players.
Magnificent player. I mean, there was players that wasn't getting games like Davy Provins and David Cooper. It's just unheard of.
Yeah.
But different style of football at the time. There was. So, you're going back to the number of teams you played. It's completely different, and you did have a nucleus of Liverpool boys are winning European Cups, Aberdeen guys are there, the Celtic guys. It was a great era, and they were dominating European football.
Yeah.
Aberdeen, for instance, were in the top 4 in Europe for a couple of years in the trot. Dundee United were in the top 15.
Well, I showed.
The funny thing about it is, when Celtic won the leagues twice in the early 80s, they had to beat the team that's probably first, second, or 4th in Europe, and team that was 11th and 12th in Europe.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I showed Alan Ruff a photograph, and I said to him, "You won the League Cup." I says, "But your 10 teammates have either won the European Cup, are on the verge of winning the Cup Winners Cup, or they've won the UEFA Cup. All 10 of them were going to play in a European final. I could go rhyme it off: John Wharton, Alan Brazil, yourself, Alan Hansen."
But the standard of the Champions League is far higher now as well. Because you remember that, I think, if you went back to the 80s or 70s, it was people who just lived in that country. Okay, Spain had a couple of players, in Italy maybe a bit different, but the rest of us all just come from that area and all the rest of it. And again, diversity plays a big part in it. You look at the French team, the Belgian team, the Dutch team. Huge difference.
Yeah.
So really, the Champions League now is that is the standard where you measured the Champions League. It's far better standard now. That's for sure.
Yeah. Of the Scotland playing, is there a game that you loved? You might not necessarily have won it. Was there one game in particular that you, as a player, you thought, oh, I love this. I could have played it for 990 minutes, never mind 90.
We played against East Germany after the World Cup in 82. And sometimes you have a game of football, you think, it's like when you play golf, when you have one of them days and everything's
gone right.
It's gone right. You think, oh, something's got to go wrong here, I'm got to hook it. But it was one of the nights where everything seemed to go right. There was games when you scored goals, games where you were rotten. So that was one of the games, I think, East Germany, I think, that's just one of them nights. And you get nights like when Andy Roxburgh said to me after World Cup in 86, we were playing Hungary for a game, and he said to me, do you want to be number 10 tonight? I went, if you want. I'm not number 7, yeah. Number 10. I went, yeah. I says, oh, why you want me in number 10? He says, all the best players in the world wear number 10. Brilliant. He says, if it goes right, I'll tell everybody why you're number 10. After the game, not a sausage, not a word to anybody. Never said anything. Obviously I'd played badly. Then we played Republic of Ireland next again game. And here it goes then. Here's the team, midfield, Strachan 7, Frank McAvenny 8, Archibald, whatever it is, 9. Number 10, Roy Aitken. Oh, wait a minute. Just a second here. What's going on? Funny about Roy Aitken. You know, we're talking about the COVID thing.
Yeah.
I never watched football as such. The game in 86. So the COVID thing was showing games on BBC Scotland.
Right,
I could
yeah.
get back in my house in
classics.
England. So the classics. So I got watch this. And by the way, there's a lot of passing for the goal at the back. And I didn't realise it. Again, it's one of these things. So I watched the game, and I'm thinking to myself, Roy Aitken was magnificent that day.
Yeah.
I really did. I honestly thought he was great. So that today, so I phoned somebody, I can't remember, it was at Celtic. Have you got Roy Aitken's number? Aye. So I phoned him. Roy, it's Gordon. You could hear the, aye. What do you want? I said, I've just got to tell you. I said, it might be about 35 years too late, but I just thought you were magnificent against Germany. You know what it's like, you I said, no, I'm serious. I've just watched it. Your energy and your drive was magnificent. So I'm just up to say, well done. See you later.
That's it.
That was it. Yeah.
When you were Scotland manager, I actually thought you galvanised the country again, brought a bit of pride. I'm not saying and that there was a lack of it, previous managers are having a go at them, but I genuinely thought there was a real sense of hope. Do you look upon it with pride or do you look upon it with pain?
Both.
Yeah.
Both in a big way, yeah. There's probably a week goes by and you think, oh, if we just scored that one extra goal, you know, if we just kept pulling it, that one thing, or in Germany when I actually thought we were going to beat the world champions at 70 minutes, you think, oh, set plays again, killed us. So I look back at it and I go, right, okay, nearly got there. We're up against a good side, you know, Germany and Poland. And sometimes you can be unlucky. I'll tell you who's the most lucky person I've ever met in my life, Craig Levine.
Yeah.
The group that he had was phenomenal, that he had to play against. Belgium, who ended up being first in the world because they were all coming through at the time. Croatia, magnificent when Modric, Mandzukic, Rakitic were coming through at the time. So when people look at Croatia, look at it now and go, what a team they had. And then unfortunately you had Wales, who had Bale suddenly become a superhero.
Yeah.
So Craig was up against that at that point. I just thought that was the hardest job that any Scottish manager, I think, ever.
But you had England.
Yeah, but you knew that was coming with them.
Yeah.
And people know that they're the top. But also Germany, who are the world champions. Poland, who become a great side.
Yep.
And, well, where was the other ones we played against? So there was 3 teams, and Republic we played against in our group. And these 3 teams went on to do really well in the playoffs. But you can be unfortunate, but it's been so determined with us. I might have said do the same as Steve, 3 at the back.
Yeah.
But my team at that time had a lot of wide men.
Was there a moment when you were sitting at that trackside, because we were working that day? There was me, Kenny Miller, Chris Commons and Ruffy, and we're 2-1 up. Griffiths has hit the 2 magnificent free kicks.
Yeah.
And as the ball comes over, Ruffy and I are saying, Craig Gordon, take him out and take the ball. Do you relive it in your head? I mean, everybody talks about Stuart Armstrong, which I think is a wee bit
Well, it's absolutely unfair on Stuart Armstrong.
You know?
And people say, if he just, but he's a football player. If we put another pass and we're up the pitch, and that's what happens. Stuart's a magnificent fella, and he's come at the end of the game and went, oh, don't start. No, don't apologise. That's football.
Yeah.
You know, there's still another 9 years behind the ball at this point. You know, so, and then you'll get James McCarthy comes after the game. You've said it all the time, Gaffer, about stopping crosses. That's just it. Forget it. You know, you've done great. He's a fantastic fella.
It's an unbelievable day, that, wasn't it?
Aye. And you got and here's the thing that every coach will agree with me. And this is why I kind of get annoyed with people at times. We played better when we got beat 3-0. We did when we drew 2-2.
Yeah.
By a million miles. And any coach will tell you that. And then I was speaking to Dan Fletcher recently, went, I can't believe we were 2-0 doing in that game against England. And there's no many times I feel sorry for players in a match. And I did that day, because I remember at 3-0 saying to Mark McGee, this is unfair on these players, because they've got to go another 20 minutes chasing the ball against an England side who only had 3 attempts at goals and scored with 3 headers.
Yeah.
We stopped exactly what they wanted to do, running us for the wide and doing things like that. We got into good positions, we nullified them, we didn't let them pass for the back. We got chances and everything. And coaches were phoning me up going, God, you couldn't have done anything more. And the boys couldn't. And then we play against England and got 2-2. And everybody goes, oh, what a performance. No, really.
Yeah.
No, really. Griffiths helped us out. But we did basic things like that at one point when we were doing, put Chris Martin on, put the ball up to him, see if he can bring it into play or get free kicks. And that's what he did.
Yeah. Here's the final run-in. The last thing I want to talk to you about. You're a great player for Aberdeen, and suddenly you become the Celtic manager. I mean, you know, it's a huge leap. But I've never met anybody who embraced that club as much as you for being an outsider. Yeah.
It's because I'm trying to explain to people that people who normally take over, they've all got this love for Celtic. Mine was different. I had an admiration for Celtic, because I used to have Celtic were playing against Hibs. I'd go and watch them, see Jimmy in particular.
Yeah.
So it's other people are born into it. I wasn't born into it.
Yeah.
I kind of got a taste of it, and I thought, great people with this, I like this. So I enjoyed that, and so some of the comments used to get when you're there as a manager, it was absolutely.
It's a cuddle and a punch, isn't it?
Oh, I mean, they were underwhelmed when I got there. There was, when Brendan was there, 20,000. I was lucky if there was 20. And some of them were right.
Yeah.
I think they were just at the kind of mega sports shop and walking by going, who's that wee guy? And you get people come, a wee picture. And the first time I was there, the boy says, just a wee picture of Gordon. I went, aye, all right. So it's the usual, they're messing about with it and all that. It's taking forever. You go, oh, right. So he gives it his mate, he tries it, he puts his arm in it. Aye, you're no bad, but you're not as good as Martin O'Neill. What? So that was but it kind of, I just grew into it. I made a mistake by actually saying, well, I'm not here to be loved, which was the wrong thing to say. Again, that was media. I wasn't very media savvy, to be honest with you. But you grow into it, and I really enjoyed it, and I've still got great friends there now.
Yeah. If art media was the nightmare, what was the highlight for you? I was there. I mean, I looked at it and I thought, okay, it's now 4-0. This isn't going well.
Yeah, the game going back to the bus. There was about 10 Celtics. Get yourself back to BBC, you mug, yeah. You know, okay. Aye. As a matter of fact, I did say to somebody the other day, so what would be on your gravestone? Somebody said, what would be on your gravestone? I said, well, this is still far better than art media.
It was one of those nights where, listen, these things can happen. If I remember rightly, there was a few players who you'd inherited from the Martin era.
Listen, if I could actually write a book about the build-up to that game and what happened during it,
yeah.
It really shouldn't have happened to any football manager. And they got everything. Everything it could go wrong went wrong. The build-up was all wrong. There was players coming in who's never met anybody. It was all wrong at that point. But again, when you look back at it now, or even matter of fact, you look back at it a couple of months after, I was only about laughing at some of the things that were going on.
It was mental.
Because
what was the good game though? Was there a game?
Oh, I had one good game.
Oh no, there was more.
I had a good game.
Games, but was there one that you thought to yourself, you know, I know what you're like, you beat yourself up about games, but was there a game where you thought, oh, this is magnificent? Because if that's the low, where's the high?
I think when we had two, there was a couple, maybe two, and maybe talking about football, there was the Man United and all that kind of beating AC Milans, but I think when you're talking about character and really having to do it, because when you beat Man United or whatever it is, right, okay, you've done it. But we had to beat Rangers twice at home in the last two games, because the one game was knocked back a bit, so we had to play them twice in 2 weeks at home at night. And we won the two games, and the one in particular where Gary Cole, who's so brave, and the boys come out for the back, and people are telling us and he's picked out this pass. I think it was Jan Vennegoor, and he's headed in, and somebody's hit the back of the net, so we had to beat Rangers. And we beat them 3-2, and then we went on to win the league. We had to one day, because if Rangers got a draw in any of these games, we were beat.
You're ghost.
So, in terms of how we played, the character and the drive and the belief of these players was phenomenal. That was one. I think going to AC Milan and McNeill, who eventually become the champions, got to extra time.
Yeah.
And my back four, I think that night, somebody remembers me, it cost less than 500,000. It had Gary Colwell, I think, was it Gary Colwell?
McManus?
Telford, McManus and O'D.
Yeah. Isn't it great that your games all involve commentaries where I am thinking to myself, take him out, Lenny, just throw yourself in front of Kaká and let's go to penalties.
The funny thing about it is, I was with Lenny on Saturday night, and I said to him, why did you decide to retire at the halfway line? Because he's chasing them, and Kaká was a real athlete in a way. And Lenny wasn't as slow as people would make it. By the way, he could run. He was a strong runner. And I said to him, why did you decide to retire just halfway back that pitch? He said, oh, I tried to. But I couldn't even get near his legs, he said. Yeah. So, but that was a, character in that team. So that type of performance I like. Again, the beating Man United and AC Milan, that happens. That happens in drawing Man United and this, that. But that's when the chips are down, when there needed to be characters, that, as I said, that night beat Rangers 3-2 and beat them 2-1 the next game. Yeah. That's when the chips are down. And that's when you know you've got character, the fitness level comes into it, because matter of fact, the guys are using similar fitness things like Paul Hartley and Gary Cole and all these guys at home, still running these guys to get them fit. And that's when you think, it's all worth it. And you look round at the stadium at that point, and it's rocking. Yeah. And I don't care, if you say to me, there's £1 million in your wages, I go, you're all right, keep it, I'm fine. This is just magnificent. Yeah. This again, what you're talking, as I speak to you, I'm thinking about, oh, here's a back minute. And if you said to me, there's X amount of money, it wouldn't make any difference in my back pockets. But the fact is, I can sit here and talk to you and go, wow. Yeah. Two final questions to finish. Another two. Just these two. Right. Tommy Burns. Because you played against him. I knew Tam well, hated getting beat. I know. Prof just absolutely moaned the face off anybody who played alongside him. And then suddenly, you're there with him. Do you know, when you look back, and I don't know if you've done it in your life, when you think, when you meet somebody and work with somebody for a period of time, and you look at them, and you go, I wish I was more like you. Yeah, you ever get that with people? I was like that with him all the time. How do you do this? How are you so open-minded? How are you such a giving person? And how you don't get upset with this, that, and everything? So it was great for me, and funny enough, and all the things he could laugh at anything really, and he was funny, and I've spoke to you, I've seen him speaking to him. He was funny at all the wrong times. All the wrong times. When we think life doesn't get any worse, he would make it, he would say something and go, and now when I look back at it and you look at it, you go, that was hilarious. And I have to tell people these stories about you know, when I go about. But there was another side to him, you know.
Yeah.
There was a devil in him, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously, I would have got hurt many a time.
Yeah.
Many a time. Wonderful footballer. Again, he was one of these guys that played in that period where, you know, you've got the Sunessis and all these guys in midfield and all that, and Tommy couldn't get in the team as such at the Scotland side. Another time, yeah, he gets in there. So he had this devil about him as well, and he could actually clatter you a bit.
Yeah, it reminds me, you mentioned there about him, his devilment, and of course the ability to kind of destabilise people. If it was that one-liner, it was, as you say, that moment. I mean, sadly, Walter Smith passed away, but you know, we'd laugh about the time. McCoist and Smith used to laugh with me and say, he fell asleep in one of my team talks,
right, yeah.
and then woke up and said, "Is he finished?" You know,
and he would be like that with people. And you know how you get together after a game and the Celtic Rangers with the staffs that they get. They were good staff. You could talk. And Tommy's, I thought you did well today. Fantastic, great. Nice to see you boys. All the rest. What a drink, brilliant. And you see them, and as soon as out the door, never liked that lot. Honestly, they were all about. He was brilliant. He was. And matter of fact, I've got to say, I would say 3 times a week. Somehow I speak about him, and sometimes I think, am I speaking about him too much, you know, and giving away too much? But I think the more I give away, the more the legend will grow, which it doesn't need to grow, to be honest with you. But I just do feel that his stuff needs to be shared.
Yeah, well,
with everybody.
It's one of those things that you mentioned, those moments that you shared with him. I think everybody is lucky enough to have had even 0.0.01 of his percent of him.
Yeah.
He left a mark on you. From my point of view, I remember phoning him and saying, "Look, Tam, I want you to come to my stag night. I'm getting married." And he took over and he just said, "No, we're not having a stag night. We're having a stag game. Get the boys for Edinburgh that you hung about with, and I'll come through." And it was him, Jimmy Mack, Billy Stark, and we had a game of 11 asides for my stag night. There was no stag night of a bevy.
No.
We played.
He wasn't a drinker though.
No, it was brilliant. But he was like that, and the boys just he noised everybody up, and he had a great laugh. He was like that though, wasn't he? He was just he made you feel the most special person.
I think Alistair's like that. Ali's like that. He's a radiator. When he comes into the room, he radiates. Yeah. And he had that. And so does Ali. There's people come in the room with drainers. You go, where'd the atmosphere go? You know. But there's people who come in and radiate. And I would have loved to have played more football with him. It'd been great if I could have played at Celtic with him and Aiken, but I had the other group up there.
Yeah.
But his best thing I ever did in my life was make him to work with me.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And the last point on that, and it's where we'll finish, because it's been an absolute joy whipping my way through your career at different points. What did it mean to you to be the Celtic manager? Was it all that you thought it was going to be? Was it better? Are you so proud of the fact that what you achieved on a fraction of a budget of other managers?
Do you know that the best thing about being a Celtic manager, and matter of fact, everybody's incredibly positive when I meet them, and I keep saying, "Where were you when I needed you? Where were you guys? You could have filled a stadium when you got." No, but that's the most important thing. No matter where I go in the world, I meet somebody for Celtic.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing. So, you know that thing about you never walk alone? Well, you're not really. Because no matter where I go, there's always, because I'm kind of distinctive, small and ginger and whatever, the big nose. There's always, hey, wait man, Celtic's, right, okay. So I meet people that way. So again, no matter where I go in the world, you think, well, I'm going to meet somebody in a minute. You know. So that's a huge bonus from it. Did I enjoy it? There was moments you can't explain to people. I have to tell you, when you win a game of football in this place, it's heaving, and you realise you've sent 60,000 people plus another few million around the world happy. It's a great thing. Similar to the Scotland thing, but it's more so the Scotland thing. You can make a nation happy. You can disappoint them as well. That's a big problem. But the Celtic thing, the fact it is, no matter where I go in the world just now, I mean, everybody is so friendly to Leslie and myself. And if I don't meet a Celtic supporter that day, I meet a Leeds United supporter. And we're just so lucky as a family that we can do that. And it's great. I even spent here the night if I didn't have these experiences, I wouldn't be here. So then I wouldn't be enjoying myself having a chat.
Yeah, Gordon Strachan, it's been a joy.
Brilliant. Thank you. Ta.
If you enjoyed our content, subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.